Welcome to Python Programming Language video tutorials by Talentshine India Private Limited. I am your host Babu sir, Technical Quant Logical Reasoning Trainer. In my previous tutorial, I have discussed a few methods from the string. Those are count method, index method, or index method, find method, and or find method. In this tutorial, I would like to discuss a few more methods from the string. Those are is alpha method, is decimal method, is all num method, is numeric method, and finally is digit method. Without wasting much time, let's start and discuss about these methods. So let us begin with is alpha method. So let me write it here. Is alpha method. So what is the role that this method is going to do? It returns true if all the characters from the string are alphabets. So which means what? Either small a to small z or capital A to capital Z. So in this case, we will be getting what the output, so true. Otherwise, we will be getting false as our output. So which means this method is going to return what Boolean values, either true or false. Now let me write here the syntax for this method. So you have to write string name dot is alpha, right? Now let me give a few examples for this method so that you could understand in a better way. So let me go back to my IDE, and here I'm going to write so one string that is so a is equal to so hello. Now let me write here a dot is alpha. Now what it is going to return? It is going to return true. Now let me copy the same thing and paste it over here. So let me erase here variable name. So instead I'm going to write directly string name dot is alpha. Now let me execute it. So you will be getting similar output. Now, so let us take a few more examples here. So I'm going to write here. So string name that is hello. How are you? So what could be the output we will be getting for this method is alpha. Now, if you observe here, we have only alphabets, right? So actually, we have to get the output as true. But in this case, it is going to return false. The reason behind that is we have a space. Space is not there in the alphabets. So we should have alphabets from small a to small z or capital A to capital Z. So then only it is going to return true. So in this case, it is going to return what? False. So is alpha. So we will be getting output as false. So I hope the idea of this method is clear, right? Now let us write here a few more examples with some all numerical numbers as well. So let me write here hello. So let me write here 123. Now in this case also, this method is going to return false as we have digits here, right? Now if we have any other special symbols, I have written here ampersand symbol. Now in this case also, it is going to return false. Now let us see subscripts and superscripts and Roman numbers and fractions. Now if you observe over here, superscript for 3, Unicode is U00B3. For subscript 2, Unicode is U2082. For Roman number 4, Unicode is U2163. For fractions 1 by 2, the Unicode is U00BD. Now, let us apply is alpha method for these superscripts, which means exponent values for subscripts, Roman numbers, and fractions. Let us see whether what output we will be getting. So in all these cases, it is going to return false only. Let me execute it so that you could understand. In all these cases, so this method won't applicable for superscript values, which means exponent values. So our subscript values, Roman numbers, fractions, in all these cases, it is going to return false. So when we will be getting true as our output, so if we have only alphabets in the string, so that is small a to small z or capital A to capital Z. In all the other cases, you will be getting the outputs as false, which means it returns what false as your output. So if it is clear, now let's go back and discuss the next method, that is decimal method. Now let me erase here. Now let us write is decimal method. Now it returns what true if all the characters from the string are decimals. So which means what? So 0 to 9. Now let me write here the syntax for this method. Syntax for this method. So here I'm writing string name dot is decimal. Now let us take a few examples so that you could understand in a better way. Now let me go back to my IDE and write a few examples. So remove all these things. Now let me take one example here. So here I'm writing so a string that is so 123. Now here I'm writing dot is decimal. Now in this case we will be getting output as true. So as we have digits from 0 to 9, right? Now let me take one more example. Now here I'm going to take one float value, so that is 23.345. So if you are applying is decimal method for this one, so it is going to return false. As we have dot here, so dot is not a decimal number, right? So it is not belongs to the character which lies from 0 to 9. So hence it is going to return false. You could see the output. So what we got, right? Now, can we take any alphabets? No, it's not. Now let us take one example here. Suppose hello. Now let me write is decimal. So it returns what? False. Now can we take any special symbols? Ampersand high. Now it returns what? False. So I hope we could understand what I have conveyed. Now, is this method can be applicable for superscripts and subscripts? Not. Let me write here is decimal and let me copy it and paste it over here so that you could understand in a better way. Now, so let me execute it so that you could understand. See, I have executed. I got the outputs as false. Now, is decimal method, so won't take superscripts. So here, superscript 3, Unicode is this one. So it won't accept subscripts, Roman numbers, fractions. So when we are taking these things, so it is going to return false, right? Now let me write the same thing over here so that you could understand in a better way, right? So is it applicable for so alphabets? No. So when we are taking alphabets from A to Z or capital A to Z, So what it is going to return? It is going to return false. Now, if you are going to take any exponent values, so it is going to return false. Now, if you are taking subscripts, so it is going to return false, right? Now, can we take fractions? No, it is going to return false. So if you are going to take any float values as your strings, it is going to return false. Now, can we take the other one, that is Roman numbers? So it is going to return false. So in all these cases, it is going to return false. So when string consists of the characters from 0 to 9, so then only it is going to return true. In all the other cases, it is going to return false. So I hope everybody clearly understood is decimal method. Now let's go back and discuss the next method, that is all num method. So let me erase this and let me write here is all num method. Now this method is going to return. It returns a true if all the characters from the string are alphanumeric, which means what? Alphabets, that is small a to small z, or capital A to capital Z, or so 0 to 9, right? So if the characters belongs to from these, so it is going to return true. Now let's take the syntax for this method. Now syntax remains the same. So string dot is all num. Now let me take an example for this is all num method so that you could understand in a better way. Now let me go back to my IDE, and so let us remove this. Now let me take one more example here. Right. So here I'm going to take a string that consists of so numbers, and then I'm going to take even characters 1, 2, 3, hello. Dot I'm writing here is all num. Now clearly we have digits and alphabets, so both are there in this method. So hence it is going to return a true. Now, so let me take one more example. So in this case, I'm going to add space. So 1, 2, 3 space, hello. And let us write is all num and execute it. See, since we have a space, so it is going to return false. So you are not supposed to have a space here. So if you have a space, so this method is going to return false. Right? So which means we need to have either alphabets or digits from 0 to 9. Right? Now, is it accepts float values? Now let's see. So it won't accept the float values. Let me take one example here. So let me write 23.456 dot is all num. So in this case, it is going to return false. Now you could see. Now let me apply this method on superscripts, subscripts, and then fractions and Roman numbers. Now let us see what will happen. Is all num method. So let me copy it and paste it over here. Execute it. Now you could see, so this method accepts superscripts, subscripts, Roman numbers, fractions. In all these cases, it is going to return true. Now let's go back and write the same thing over here. Right now, So in the first case, if we have alphabets, so small a to z or capital A to z, so it returns what? True. So we have alphanumeric values, alphanumeric. So in this case also, it is going to return true. If we have spaces between alphabets or numerical numbers, or you might be having some special symbols. So like asterisk symbol, dollar symbol, and so on. So if we have spaces or special symbols like this, so in this case, it returns what? False. Now, if we have the string consists of what? Superscripts, which means exponent values. Exponent. So in this case, it accepts it and returns what? True. Even if you have subscripts, so it returns what? True. And if we have Roman numbers, it accepts it and returns true. And if we have, the next one is fractions. Fractions. So in this case also, it is going to return true. But if you have some float values in a string, so it won't accept and it returns what? False. So try to understand what I have conveyed over here. For this is all num method. Now let's go back and discuss the next method, that is numeric. Is numeric method. Now let me erase it and write the same thing. Is numeric. Is numeric. Now what is the method is going to do? So it returns true if all the characters from the string are so numerical values. So which means 0 to 9. Right? Now let me write here the syntax for this method. Syntax for this method. So again, string name dot is numeric. Now, for better understanding, so let me go back to my IDE and write a few examples so that you could understand. Now, so let us remove these and write one example here. So let me take here numbers 123 and write is numeric and execute it. So it is going to return a true. Now, so let me take one float value here, 23.345. Let us place it in the string. And right here is numeric and execute it. Now it is not accepting even float values. So do remember. And let me take one more example. Is it accepts the alphabets? Let us write hello. And then right here is numeric and execute it. So it returns what? False. Now is it accepts so 1, 2, 3 space, and then I'm going to write so 3, 4, 5. So it won't accept a space, right? And you are not supposed to write any other symbols as well. It is going to return false. So I hope you could understand what I have written, right? Now let me apply all these So let me apply is numeric method on superscript, which means exponent values, subscripts, Roman numbers, and fractions. So let me write here is numeric. And let us copy this and paste it over here. Let us paste it here as well. And let me execute it. You could see, so this numeric method is numeric method. So accepts exponent values, subscripts, Roman numbers, and fractions as like is all num. So we are getting the similar output. So I hope you could understand what I have conveyed, right? Now let's go back and so write the things over here in a nutshell. Now this is numeric method won't accept alphabets. Won't accept alphabets. If you're passing in a string as alphabets, so it is going to return false. So that is the difference between is numeric method and is all num method. Is all num method. So the difference is only these alphabets. So is all num method accepts these alphabets, right? So whereas is numeric method, so it won't accept. So it returns what? False, right? Now, if you're passing any exponent values, so it returns what? True. So this is numeric method returns true. Even you could pass subscripts. So it is going to return true. So you may pass some Roman numbers. It returns what? True. You may pass the other one, that is fractions. It returns true. But float values as like is all num, it returns what? False. So I hope you could understand the difference between is numeric method and is all num method. The only difference is this part. So in rest of the parts, we are getting a similar outputs for these two methods. So I hope you could understand what I have conveyed regarding this is numeric method. Now let's go back and discuss the next method, that is digit method. So let me erase this and let us write here is digit. Now what is the role that this is digit method will do? Now let me write it here. It returns true if all the characters from the string are digits. So which means what? So 0 to 9. Now let me write here the syntax for this method. So again, string name dot is digit. Now for better understanding, let us write a few examples for this method so that you could understand. Now let me remove these. So let us take one example here. So I'm going to take 123. So let us write here is digit and execute it. So clearly it is getting true. Now let me take one more example. So in this case, I'm going to take a float value and write here is digit method. And let's see. So it won't accept this float values. So this is going to return what? False. Now, is it accepts any spaces between the characters in a string? Now, let me take 123 space 456. So dot is digit. Now you could see it won't accept. Now let me take any other special symbols. Now it returns what? False. I hope you could understand what I have conveyed. And this one, this method, it won't accept even alphabets. Let us write hello and execute it. So it returns what? False. Now let me apply So this is digit method on these things. Let me write instead of numeric, let us write digit. So let us write here digit. Here also, let us write digit and execute it. Now you could see here, it accepts superscripts and subscripts, but won't accepts Roman numbers and fractions, even float values as well. Now, let me write the same thing so that you could understand in a better way. So one should know the differences so that you could understand the concept clearly. So this method won't accept alphabets. And if you are passing the alphabets in your string, so it is going to return false. So if you are passing, so any exponent values, Unicode values for the exponents, so what will happen? It returns a true. It returns what? A true. As like is all num method, is numeric method. Now, if you are passing any subscripts, so it returns what? A true. But if you are passing Roman numbers, it returns a false. If you're passing the one more, that is fractions, Unicode for fraction 1 by 2, 3 by 4, and so on. So it returns what? False. Even if you are writing any float values in a string, it returns what? False. So I hope you could understand the difference between is digit method, is all num method, is numeric method, is decimal method. So we have different methods, right? Is digit, is numeric, is all num, is decimal. So one should be know the differences so that you could implement it as and when required. So in this tutorial, we have discussed, so these methods, those are is alpha, is decimal, is all num, is numeric, is digit. So I have given even differences as well. So majority of the people may assume that so is decimal, is digit, is numeric, they are working in a similar way. But so there are some differences you will come to know if you watch this video. So I hope you could understand clearly about these methods. If you clearly understood, please like, share, and subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching.